has been going on and pinpoint how we can factor ourselves in the same operation. Whether you like it or not, the movement of God is what we call a revival. When God begins to advance in a region, in a territory, in the lives of men, we call that a revival. God is a living God. And when God makes contact with anything, it becomes living. There is no point in time that God make contact with anything that does not come alive. It doesn't matter the level of death and decadence in that thing. If it didn't make contact with God, it comes alive. Why? He is a living God. Truth be told, our only hope of existence is that God is alive and is living. And if God is not alive and living, we don't have the privilege to live. Why take up a nature of the life of someone that cannot live and continue to live? The beauty of Israel was slain. How are the mighty fallen? And it became a thing of reproach not to publish it and tell people that someone died. Why? Because the man has died and he cannot resurrect. But when Jesus Christ died, he resurrected and now gives life to others. It is a story to be told. Why? Because it's a story of victory. It's a story of triumph. And so anytime you cannot speak about a thing, is because there is no victory and triumph in it. Our believing and hope is upon the strength of a triumphant entry, that Christ is alive forevermore. And we live to prove that again and again. It's a beautiful thing to love the Lord and to serve Him. And I want to let you know this will be what we'll be doing till we die. And if you are doing this, you die, you are not dead. D.L. Moody was the one that said, in time to come, you are going to read in the newspapers. Read in places that D.L. Moody is dead. But never believe them. Because I'm never dead. I will forevermore be living. Why? Those that live and serve God and die never died. The memories of the righteous is blessed. Not because it is supposed to be blessed. It's because anyone that followed Jesus and died resurrect together with Him. If today I stop to exist, I am guaranteed in years to come it will still be mentioned about the chronicles of what Philip Cephas did. That is not dead. When we begin to talk about the lives of men and we excavate the things they have done in working with God, it gladdens our heart, quickens us, empowers us. It grants unto us the courage to be able to seek God the more. They may be dead, but yet again they are living. Living through the stories of the heritage wherewith they have been able to portray it upon the face of the earth. That's one of the reasons why we serve the Lord. Today, briefly, we shall be looking at where did the revival go, part 2, right? Go with me to the book of Acts chapter 2, from 1. Acts chapter 2 from 1. The Bible said, and when the day of Pentecost was fully come, they were all with one accord in one place. And suddenly there came a sound from heaven as of a rushing mighty wind, and it filled the house where they were sitting. And there appeared unto them cloven tongues like as fire, and it sat upon each of them. And they were all filled with the Holy Ghost, and they began to speak with other tongues as the Spirit gave them utterance. Why was it so important that something like this be added to this testimony of the church? I believe that the New Testament actually began from this. The hope of the church was bettered from Acts chapter 2. The church of God was weak, it was beggarly, it was disadvantaged. It only gained an advantage from Acts chapter 2. For the first time we saw the church together in one accord. For the first time, we saw the church together in unity. For the first time, we saw the church together willing to receive something from God. All through time, they did not care. They didn't see the need for that. But the Bible says they shut down themselves and gathered together in an upper room. And while they were in the upper room, the Bible speaks about a day called the day of Pentecost. The thing that amazed me about that day is that the day of Pentecost was not a new day. It was a normal celebration that men always have. How dare them call it Pentecost and they never had the encounter of the Holy Ghost? How did they call it Pentecost? How? Israel are known to celebrate feast, and they don't care. They can call it in the feast of resurrection and men are dying. They can say it's the feast of light and they are dwelling in darkness. Hanukkah is a feast of light. Israel celebrates it all the time, but they dwell in darkness. The day of Pentecost was not a new day. It is what they have been celebrating every day. Just like the way we all celebrate Christmas Day. One guy said, what is really this Boxing Day? Do you know do they really used to box in Boxing Day? They used to box. Well, how many of you have ever boxed before? We celebrate Boxing Day. You even attend you even enjoy the weekend for it, and you never look for somebody and box. The reality of that day was that men ought to box. So anyone that did not partake in boxing that day does not have a reality of Boxing Day. Independence Day is supposed to be the day where men refuse to be in bondage, and now they access liberty. But we have been celebrating independence again and again. Our leaders are not even ashamed. We are in bondage, and they dare to stand and declare today is independence. We can never be free until we are truly free. And no matter how much we celebrate the day, it's a waste of time. They have been celebrating Pentecost until one day they gather together in an upper room, and they say this Pentecost will not be Pentecost as usual. We need a revival. I don't know whether there was somebody in the time past that encountered what Pentecost was truly is, but I believe that they cannot call it Pentecost if there was no an experience. I don't know which of their fathers had that experience, but I know that it was lost. So it became a cry. Where did the revival go? How comes Pentecost was lost and it was reduced to a celebration where men eat and drink and they dance? Because in the upper room there was also an under room. There were other people in the temple that were not isolated to the upper room. There were many of them that were in the under room, and they were enjoying as usual, eating as usual. You know, Jewish people like to dance. They were dancing as usual, celebrating as usual, and they never knew that there was an appointment in heaven, and that appointment in heaven was supposed to meet them at the upper room.